doing monthly webinars, so we're seeing kind of repeat attendees, growing attendance, engagement in the chat. People were LinkedIn DMing me, "This is such great content. Thank you so much." And over those 2 years, I think that we booked 12 sales calls and maybe had one closed deal that was directly attributable to the webinar program. And I looked at that and I was like, maybe there's some other things that, weren't directly attributable, that you were building brand, all those sorts of things. But I looked at that and had to say, this really didn't meet my expectations for the results that I was trying to drive. And so in my last role before founding Demand Shift and developing what I call the webinar fast track framework that now I deliver as a service done for you for clients, end-to-end webinar promotion, production, and repurposing, I was running some webinars and I was like, how can I address this conversion cliff? And to me, a big part of the problem is that we're all kind of running the same playbook, and it's getting us all to the same point, which is that dead end we were talking about earlier. And as I've heard Noah Kagan saying several times, sometimes you got to zig when everybody else zags. And I had heard of a few people with different lead magnets creating this two-step sign-up flow upon registration. And I was like, this is interesting. And I'll explain kind of what it is. But I was like, I think I can apply that to webinars. And essentially what I started doing was when people would sign up for a webinar, I'd keep the form super simple to increase my conversion rates, just name and email, right? But the moment that they would sign up, we would use a URL redirect to put them onto basically a lead qualification survey so that we could ask them a few more questions. What size company are you at? What growth stage are you? At the time I was selling for an agency that built websites. When was the last time you updated your website? How happy are you with it? What's your biggest marketing challenge, right? This can look different depending on your context. But the magic of it was it ended with a question of, hey, would you like to book a call with a team that specializes in solving X problem, right? It's all about the problem, as I'm sure you talked about with Chris. And my conversion rate from webinar registrant to booked sales call went from 1% to 2% to 9% to 10%. And
before someone even showed up.
Yeah, and I started getting booked sales calls happening and even being held before the webinar even happened. One story I love to tell is I was on a podcast and I mentioned, hey, we have this webinar that we just did. It's already been live, but it's available on demand now. Well, one of the listeners of the podcast went to that landing page that we put in the show notes, converted, went through this two-step sign-up flow, booked a call, and I closed a deal within 12 days of that. I know, because I could see the analytics, they never even watched the webinar. And so it's not that I was bait and switching people, but oftentimes, 60% isn't showing up to the webinar. Even if you have that stupid good offer, they're not even seeing it. And even if you do good follow-up, they're usually ignoring that because, again, the zig when everybody else zags, everybody's kind of doing that. They're putting that call to action at the end of the webinar, and they're doing the email sequence. So I moved that to the sign-up flow, and that had a 5 to 10x increase in my conversion rate.
If you want to keep learning from videos like this one, I recommend you check out this video right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast conversation, you can click here.